In the wake of the devastation at Oklahoma City yesterday, law enforcement officials around the world have joined forces in the search for their suspects. Our next guest knows all about tracking down terrorists. Vicki Tunsing established the Counterterrorism Unit for the United States Department of Justice, and she joins us now from the CBS News Bureau in Washington, D.C. Vicki, thank you for coming on and welcome to CBS.
Hello, Tom.
I heard one of the reporters ask Janet Reno today, the Attorney General, how far along this investigation was and whether she, Reno, thought it was further along than it might have been, than she thought it might have been at this particular time. This is about 3, 4 o'clock Washington time this afternoon. Do you think they're making a lot of progress here as you observe what's been said so far, bringing somebody back from London who is a possible witness in the case? Do you have the sense that they're moving very rapidly and they might have a very good idea where this roadmap goes?
Tom, absolutely. I think that they are probably very pleasantly surprised how fast this has gone along. I have been there in the middle of these kinds of investigations, and you don't expect breaks like this to happen for perhaps the next week or so when you're really going to get some more information.
When you say breaks like this, what kind of break are we talking about?
Well, it seems like they've gotten some very specific information. For example, putting together the photograph, they had some kind of tape of the Ryder truck being in front of the federal building. And
not another Ryder truck?
No, the Ryder truck that exploded. And they had...
No, I mean, have we... I heard on the radio that it was a rental truck today.
Yes.
But was it in fact a Ryder rental truck?
That is what I am told, that they established a tape that showed that Ryder truck in front of the federal building prior to the explosion. Somebody remembered that there was a surveillance camera somewhere in the neighborhood and that camera was pointed on the federal building. Mm-hmm. So they put that together, and then they got the axle from the explosion site, and they got a serial number off of that. So while this is the usual kinds of forensic evidence to put together in a case like this, I think that it's come together a little sooner than they really expected. And also, Tom, I think they probably know a lot more than they're telling us.
I think so, too. You got that sense from Janet Reno today when she said, I'm not commenting on that right now.
Well, and also from having been there.
Well, yeah, but you can't blame the reporters for trying.
Of course not.
What is the necessity, by the way, for absolute security and secrecy in protecting information in the hands of law enforcement at this point in the investigation?
Well, it's very important that all of your investigators are trained not to leak to the press as much as you want them to. I know they cannot do that because they could really mess up an investigation. You know, I looked at the decision to ask for a $2 million reward probably very differently than the press does. You are surprised perhaps at the $2 million. I know that that is created by statute, so that's not a big deal to me. But I know that there's a lot of deliberative process going into, do we go out and do we show photographs or these kinds of drawings of these people and thereby give them some kind of notice so they can escape, or do we try to bring in the citizens and have their help in getting these individuals? And that's a very big decision.
Why would you say the press might question $2 million? At least that's what I think you were saying.
No, I think the press likes the story. To the press, it's a $2 million reward. You know, isn't that amazing? To me, that's not the story.
I would have offered 5.
Well, it's by statute, so I don't think you can offer 5.
Because you and I know that most information, there is a price on it. It is for sale.
That's right. But to me, the story in it was not that there was a large amount, but that the decision was made to put the drawings out, because I know what goes behind that kind of a decision. That's a very important decision.
And what does go behind it?
Well, you're weighing, you're balancing. What if we put out these pictures
and it gives warning to the possible perpetrators.
Right.
And what if we put out the pictures and they have nothing at all to do with the resemblance to the perpetrators?
That, yes. And wouldn't it be better if they didn't know we were after them, if we really think these are the perpetrators?
Gaze into your magical crystal ball.
Yes.
When do you think they will arrest suspects?
Oh, you know, I don't know, but I can tell you this, they're not going to do it till they're very, very sure, because this is not a case where you have the luxury of arresting somebody and then say, oh, gee, we made a mistake, let's go back and do it again. They've got to be right the first time.
Let me ask you here about America. after this event. What do we have to change? Do we have to change border policy? And is that practical? You know, Americans have a feeling against closing the borders because we like to be this open society, this
Tom,
melting pot.
I'm sorry. Your question is breaking up, so I need to ask it again.
Okay. I say, how's the audio now, okay?
It's okay. They were talking in my ear, and I couldn't hear your question.
Well, tell them to stop that.
Yes, stop that.
In post-bombing America, what do we
Yes.
have to change? Border policy, although as I said, Americans sort of dislike that possibility because we would like to consider this an open country, the melting pot to which all are welcome. But what has to change? Border policy?
Well, let me answer that on two levels, because in your previous discussion you were talking about all of the terrorist experts, including myself, have been saying for the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, there but for the grace of God are, you know, incidents in the United States. And when the New York Trade Center bombing occurred, I said I wasn't surprised. It was just a matter of time that they were going to penetrate our borders. So there is a problem out there, and whether in this situation there are illegal aliens involved or it was just in the World Trade Center, it doesn't matter. We still have a very big problem, and now I'm going to get to the second part of answering your question, and that is we really need to address our border problem. We have open borders because, God bless us, we've had this wonderful culture for so many years of welcoming people into our shores, providing sanctuary. It started when we were the only democracy, Tom, and now there are many democracies, and what's happening is there are now people coming illegally into our borders for the purpose of destroying our democracy. And while we cannot be radical and start taking away freedoms, that would be terrible. We really need to start the discussion of what we need to do to see to it that our borders are not open to illegal entry. And if
To
illegal...
those people who wish us not well, but harm.
That's correct. But you see, when you were talking in the previously about, well, we knew that there were people there, and why doesn't
I'm down
the
to 10
FBI
seconds here, Vicki.
put surveillance in? How do you know where somebody is if you don't know because they're illegal? How can the FBI really infiltrate them?
I appreciate you joining us tonight from Washington. Thank you again, ma'am. Good night now.
Thank you.
Vicki Tunsing, and some thoughts on the investigation into who bombed the federal building in Oklahoma City yesterday. Back with a program note and a look towards tomorrow after these messages.